Welcome to episode number 5 on how to open up a trucking company in the US. Now, in this episode, we have our corporation and tax accountants. Very, very powerful video, extremely important. And with every single part of this series, the next one becomes even more important than the last one. Okay, so stay with me, all right? Corporations and tax accountants. The importance of, first of all, properly opening up a corporation in the US and also choosing the right tax accountants. Now, these usually go hand in hand. The US is very different than Canada. You have different types of corporations. Now, who else would know this better than a tax accountant? The tax accountant knows the loopholes. He knows what to do, where's advantages, where are the advantages, which corporations are advantageous, which corporations are less advantageous based on your situation and needs. So we had about a 2-hour session with M7 Taxes, who is our recommended tax accountants, both in Canada and the US, with their 13 offices across Canada and the US. Really knowledgeable guys, know what they're doing, very easy to work with. Fill out this form below, it'll get routed directly to them and then they will reach out to you. And I love working with them, to tell you the truth. Based on their questions, it kind of determined on the type of corporation that we're going to be needing in the US. We talked a lot about the kind of services that we're going to be providing in Atlanta, Georgia, both cross-border and into the US. We talked about income loss. We talked about the situation in the US. We talked about how we intend on buying trucks, trailers in the US, whether we plan on financing, on leasing them. We talked about repairs, maintenance. We talked about factoring. We talked about a million and one things. And based on that conversation, we kind of determined, okay, this is the best thing for you. But tax accountants are extremely important, not only for the good times, they're also very important in the bad times. I mean, are you going to ever declare a income loss? What can you do with this income loss? You know that 2023 is an extremely tough year for any trucking company in the US. Whether you're a company driver, owner, operator, lease operator, everybody's feeling right now the downside of the economy. So what are you going to do if there is going to be a loss, and do you need to carry it forward from one year to the next? Very important question. Now, another thing that they guide you on is all these questions. I've been CC'd on it like 30, 40 emails between the company M7 Taxes that we're using with our accounting department over here and our safety department. So many questions on the kind of drivers in the US, the 1099, the forms, US payroll setup in the US. I mean, I don't know any of these things and I don't want to know any of these things. The only thing I want to know or want to concentrate on is how to develop the business. I love the number crunching behind it, but setting up payroll and how to pay people properly in the US and payroll remittance and taxes, I mean, this is not my forte and I don't like it at all. All these forms, I keep getting forms to fill out. I'm not good at forms. I'm not very meticulous and that's not what I like spending my time on. And I really want to say thank you to them for taking all this on themselves. I mean, yeah, obviously they charge for their service, but my God, man, is the amount of emails that are going back and forth with questions to them. They're really taking us by the hand. And yes, obviously these questions are only going to come up at the beginning because once we get set up, then it's really not that much work that's involved moving forward. But the setup process is a lot of time and a lot of questions. They are really taking us by the hand and walking us through every single detail within the accounting aspect of opening up a trucking company in the US. So what would happen if we didn't have a tax accountant or a wrong tax accountant by our side? Well, I'll give you one scenario. So here we have, on June 1st, we hired our terminal manager to start working in the US. Now, before he can start working, there were some forms that needed to go by. I mean, we don't have that here in Canada. You don't need to fill out a form before you have a full an employee working for you full time. But in the US, I mean, you do. And I was CC'd on a lot of emails, and this is not stuff that I know about. And if we didn't have the right tax accountant or a tax accountant that knew what they were doing, they just made the transition go so much easier because they knew what they were talking about. You definitely want to do it right the first time, because if you get the wrong consulting and then you do it one way and then you get a different tax accountant and you have to retract on what you already did, it's a lot more paperwork and it's a lot harder. It's better to do it right the first time, pay the consultants for their fees, so you can keep your business going smoothly and you don't run into any problems down the road. I mean, me especially, I would like to focus on developing the business and how to get 5 trucks into 10 trucks and getting the work for these 10 trucks. No, I don't want to rely 100% on these load boards. I would like direct customers, just like we've set up here in Canada, where we're 75% direct customers, and only 25% we work off of the load boards. Now, the exact same thing I'd like happening in the US, where we're 75% taking from our own customers, because first of all, the rates are much better when you take from your own customers than when you take it off these load boards. And second of all, especially in a downfall economy like this, I mean, it's much better to have contract rates versus the market rates. Now, another thing, very important thing about tax accountants is for us, when we're financing anything, we will send them a bill of sale and we will send them a finance agreement or proposals of finance agreements. Now, they can spot red flags right away. One of the things that I created for my audience, if you're not familiar yet with this, I've created a calculator for you guys that you can just go into this link. I'll link it down below. When you want to finance something, or if you need financing, if you need commercial equipment financing, whether it's a truck, trailer, flatbed, whatever it is, there's a heading called loan amount. So let's say you're looking for $100,000 and the interest rate is 12%. And I'll do this with you guys, $100,000, 12%, and over the course of 48 months, all you gotta do is press calculate. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that you can see your monthly payments and you can play around with this. Now, when I go to my tax accountants and I tell them that, hey, I am buying a truck for $200,000 and it's for 48 months and I have $4,000 payments, they will look at it and they would say, hey, listen, you're getting robbed over here. Somebody's charging you 25%. And that's a really, really good tax accountant, and that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to catch you from making any errors, because a lot of times a broker on the other side will tell you, hey, you're paying only 6 or 7%, but in reality, they're stuffing you with 26 and 27%. Not a lot of people check the numbers. So that's why I created this link over here. That's why I created a calculator that you can check out your own payments. So if you're thinking of buying a $150,000 truck, plug in $150,000 over here. Interest rate at 12%, and then let's say we'll finance it for 60 months. Now, calculate, you see that your monthly payment is $3,300, $3,336, which is bearable. So what I would do before I sign any financing agreement, I would send it over to M7 Taxes. They'll have a quick look at it, and then they will say yes or no, or have any comments on the agreement that I'm about to sign. Another very, very important thing is your plan moving forward. Guys, this is what the tax accountants are for, and what you're paying them for is to build wealth within your corporation. All right, very, very important is building wealth within your corporation. How are you going to do that? What kind of salary are you taking out for yourself to be in a much lower tax bracket, leaving some money and some wealth within your corporation year over year, building wealth, accumulating wealth, and then having a passive income from that accumulated wealth. Very, very important. That's what they're going to pick your brain on. That's why the tax accountants are absolutely important in this transaction. So guys, stay tuned for episode number 6 and episode number 7. Episode number 6 is recruiting our terminal manager, and episode number 7 is plating our first truck. So yes, that's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. And yes, I will be doing a video talking about how we plated our first few trucks and the routes that we're going to be servicing. So if you haven't watched the first 4 episodes of this 7-part series on how to open up a trucking company in the US, make sure you watch it. Episode number 1 was introductory to the series and why we want to open up a trucking company in the US. Episode number 2 was the scouting the location and realtor selection. Episode number 3 was the insurance and insurance brokers. Episode number 4 is choosing the right transportation consultant. Extremely important. This is episode number 5 on corporations and tax accountants, and stay tuned for episode number 6 and episode number 7. I'm Ronen, R-O-N-E-N, and I'll catch you in my next video.